Hey,
Yo.
what's up?
What's going on, everybody?
Hey guys, welcome to Nyce Kicks, another episode 3042.
100%.
Nyce Kicks, another episode 3042.
Living room because of the Wi-Fi, so that's why we're late, everybody. But welcome to another episode of Nyce Kicks.
Yes. You got it?
Yeah. Go ahead.
All right, good. Yes, we had some severe Teddy Riley issues today, y'all. Like, we are never this late. We're probably like 5 minutes, 6 minutes late, y'all. 16 minutes late is late. So we apologize.
As long as we're here, we're able to celebrate with one another. Folks are gonna come in and just, you know what I'm saying? We just vibe with the night. That's it.
Absolutely.
We're all watching live. Let us know if you have challenges with the sound of audio, because I was having some issues earlier. So let us know. But they say a good Broadway show, when the rehearsal goes really bad, you have an awesome show. So we hope to have a great episode today. Lisa, let them know where the show's coming from.
Yes, so today's show is sponsored by Mood Lashes by your girl, Lisa Marie. Hello.
Nice. Looking nice.
Yes, so are you guys in the mood? Because if you're in the mood, I got something special for y'all. And what that is we have a special discount for y'all. If you join, tag, if you subscribe actually to Nyce Kicks and you tag Nyce Kicks and your purchase for Mood Lashes, you will get a special coupon code. But you only got to be a supporter of Nyce Kicks.
Gotcha.
So, moodlashes.com.
I'm texting right now. I'm telling my people.
Yo, you better get on it, okay?
Correct.
Everybody got
to use my glue today. So if you're someone like me, I'm a makeup artist and I still have such a challenge put on lashes on myself. And this is a magnetic liner that can be used as an eyeliner. So I'm so happy for this from Mood Lashes. Gets me right every time. It doesn't take me 18 hours to put my lashes on anymore. It's awesome. And welcome to Edgar Sneakerhead_IG. Our homie from many years ago. We're so excited to have you on this episode. I mean, you've been rocking with Nyce Kicks since day one, literally on the IG and now to the YouTube, always engaging. So we appreciate you so much. And what better person to bring on live than someone who has been in the game, done his own business, working right now, still got a side hustle, really making sure he's financially set up for success in your personal life. So I'm excited that we have this episode this week. And as you watch, we always start night with current events going on. And we'll, luckily we don't have that many because, the time is crazy, but we'll fast forward into current events. And we usually just discuss what's happening with crazy going on in the world, music and lifestyle. So we'll get right into it. Lisa, what's the first current event we have for the week? People are hitting me up. I'm trying to get the sound.
The first current event is the stimmy.
Is it?
That's stimmy.
Oh.
I think Lisa, I think you're right. I think the stimmy is like the big topic right now. Everybody's either jumping on board or regretting they're not getting it. Unfortunately, some of us don't, you know what I'm saying? But, for those who are, I'm glad that it's happening. This is something that it felt like a long time waiting, especially for a lot of us that were unfortunately, hit with this pandemic. Although you see all the memes and all the funny jokes, actually, there are a lot of people who have actually been able to be bailed out, some rent or just putting food on the table. And this thing, although it's never enough, we're glad to be able to have that for the folks that are in need and be able to participate. And for those who had all the dependents and all that stuff, I know y'all racking up right now because, if you had dogs, a cousin, an aunt, or a grandmother, someone who, you get that extra added bonus. So I'm seeing a lot of that. So yeah, that definitely is a hot topic right now. But
facts. And I haven't got mine yet. So
the thing is, there's a lot of people
watching, and the IRS, the Internal Revenue Service, I would like to know where is my stimmy, because I have 2 children, and myself. Yeah. So I'm wondering where my stimmy is right now.
It's coming. I'm sure it's coming. Did it come? Did you get the last $600 one?
No, I didn't.
Okay, so all right.
I got the first one.
I don't want to jump into my stuff, but anyone who hasn't received any stimulus yet, and there are some, mitigating factors. However, if there are no outside factors of why you shouldn't, and you can look a list of things. I don't want to get into detail. However, one of the things that we've come across, especially the bank, is people haven't filed their taxes, and one of the reasons why is they're like, well, I haven't filed because I didn't really make anything. The reason why you should file is because then you're on paper for the government to then be able to send you the money. And that's how that's happening. So if you hadn't filed in previous years, I would tell people, I would just, I would employ people to just file your taxes for 18, 19, and 19, and even 20. And then as long as you fall under the requirements. So in 18, it was like 84,000 a year, and I think, or 75, and I think it was 75. So if you fall under that, which again, for people who hadn't filed because they feel like they didn't make anything, you will qualify, and then they will even backdate the original from the original amount. So you can actually recoup from what you didn't get the first time, which was I believe, what was it, 1,200, and then the second one was
600,
and then you'll get this one as well. So I'm just encouraging people to file your taxes for those previous years, and then you'll be able to recoup for that.
So I'm gonna have to talk to you offline on this, because I'm like, I done filed some taxes, and I owe the IRS. There's a whole bunch of stuff, but I'm like, I need my money. That's at the end of the day.
I don't know if they're levying funds, because that's those are tax questions.
Yes.
But if they're levying, that may be an issue. And or for those who are owing child support, I've heard that may be an issue as well. So
I heard that as well.
That's just something to kind of look at and just kind of, do your due diligence and figure that out. But yeah, file your taxes for the past years and you'll be able to get it.
Right. And what are people doing with their money? So it's funny, because yesterday was St. Patty's Day, and I read 90 million people received their stimulus yesterday, where a lot of people received it over the weekend, but majority of people, 90 million, received theirs yesterday. So I was in Walmart with my cousin, and I'm like, okay,
drunk ass Irish motherfuckers, I tell you that probably.
Right. So I'm like, why is Walmart so lit? Even the self-checkout line was crazy. And I'm like, why is Walmart so lit right now? It's a holiday, it's St. Patty's Day. And my cousin's like, no, girl, that's Stimmy here. And I said, oh my God. I saw someone walk out of there with a 75-inch Samsung UHD TV. I'm like, this is crazy. And I know we'll get into that later, because I kind of jumped the gun off current events with my notes. So I do apologize.
I mean, it's a big topic. It's definitely a big topic. So
that will lead into our topic. So we will talk about that in a minute. But yeah, I maybe I was just so hyped because I didn't get mine. So maybe that's why I was like, the Stimmy is the first current event for me. But yes, going back, I apologize for that.
It's all good.
No apologies. That's a big topic for sure.
It is, and there's so many memes. I mean, in that category, I was like, okay, well, made too much, sit your ass down and just watch everybody else roll in the dough. So it was like, whatever, I'm good. I'll deal with it. But yeah, and we'll talk about it a little later when we get into investing in yourself, because I feel like that's a big part of taking that extra money you think you're getting and spending wisely, right? Investing in yourself. So we'll get into that. But if you're just tuning in to Nyce Kicks, welcome. We do this every Thursday live. So we're live, literally in the flesh. So thank you for being here with us. And we have a special guest already in the building to talk about financial independence and what that really means. So to kick it off, you know, financial independence, when I think about where do I want to be financially independent, I want to make sure I don't have to clock in and I don't have to work or depend on anyone besides myself and my passive income to be successful and to live and be happy and do what I want to do, when I want to do it, how I want to do it. So that's really what I like when it becomes a financial independence.
Yes. Can we talk about my boy Kanye real quick?
He's financially independent.
6.6 billion. The richest black man in what they say in history now. He's up there.
History. He is the wealthiest, not even richest. And you know there's a difference between wealthy and rich. Absolutely. He is the wealthiest man in Black American history, which is crazy. He's worth now $6.6 billion. Reported. There's only 3 other people within that billion industry, which is Michael Jordan, Oprah Winfrey, and Sean Carter, as we know as Jay-Z. And Kanye has superseded all of them. And a lot of that money is coming from his clothing and shoe deal with Adidas and Gap. That alone was $4.7 billion. Like, I've rocked with Kanye since graduation. And even through all his craziness, his bipolar, all of that, I've stayed rocking with Kanye. And I'm just very, very happy for him because that's out of control.
Yeah, absolutely. I was going to say Gemini. So the thing that I love about Kanye and I've always seen for him is the fact that you always got to bet on crazy because we as Geminis, and I, you know, myself as a Gemini, we tend to be creators is not even a word that I can use. Like literally it's out of our dreams and the way we move, it's so fast, right? And it's always like literally you got to catch on, right? The greatest thing about Geminis is they're always a creative and sometimes it's ahead of time. I can attest to that. We'll talk about that a little later, but Kanye, as controversial he is, as crazy he is, he's still an innovator. He is the culture. He transcends culture, if you will. Right? This guy is truly a genius in all rights. Does he say some controversial shit? Absolutely. Is he a guy that you have to be like almost even brief ahead of time? Absolutely. And as a Gemini, I can attest to the same thing, right? You gotta hold those reins, but he's true to what his who he is, what his brands are. Tragedies as it happened has motivated him to move forward. And this thing with Adidas, this is what he was fighting for. At the end of the day, this is what he was fighting for
so long.
Although there was cutting him a check at Nike, and that shoe was the illest. That shoe like changed the sneaker game. The Red October, the Solars, the Blinks. Even when he was at Louis Vuitton, he was like, "Listen, I'm just designing the shoes, but I'm using silhouettes of your current." And if you know anything about the sneaker game, it's all about the soul. So they didn't make molds for him in order for him to create his whole shoe. And he wanted endorsement at the end of the day. Say, look what I've done to the sneaker game. Like, I should get my just due. And it was like, no. And he said, fuck it, I'm going to Adidas. And people bet against Kanye when he went to Adidas.
And they always do.
He single-handedly transformed Adidas. What it is today.
And they always do. When you have a idea, a vision, a passion for something, and you put it out there and you know it in your mind, you're dreaming it, you're going like, I know this is something, I know this is it.
Manifest.
And you put it out there to people in the public, people are always going to shit on it because nobody's going to understand it. But when you know and you're that creative mind, you know this is worth something, you got to keep going. You got to keep going with it.
That manifestation.
Edgar, are you on Wi-Fi?
No.
Our audio is jacked, and I wonder if it's because we're not on.
Mine is?
I mean, it's more so Lisa when she's on, and then when I'm on,
it is yours too, me.
And you know, again, we're live, so we're just trying to pivot in the moment. I don't know where, why.
Well, I am on Wi-Fi. I don't have a landline Wi-Fi.
Okay, Edgar,
but can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. It's breaking up, and I don't know if it's mine or what. We had this happen with to join us when we split the screen in 3, and we had this similar situation. We couldn't figure out if it was. We thought it was just her Wi-Fi. So I don't know if it's getting more.
It's really bad meat when you're talking. It's real bad.
Okay. So let me. I don't know if I can get out of the room. Lisa, if you can let me out the room, and then I'll try to get on a different device, and I'll come back.
Okay.
And then you and Edgar can kind of just leave the conversation in the meantime.
Okay.
21.
Absolutely. You know what? Edgar, what's funny is so Michael has said, I hope he has a good prenup. Kim about to
What's that?
Michael says, I hope he had a good prenup. Kim is about to cash in. Now,
well, you know, when you at that level, it doesn't even matter, right?
I think
look at Jeff Bezos. It doesn't even matter because
they had a good prenup though, because she got money.
They did. Actually, they did. They had something in place already.
They had to, because they both came into the situation with money. So I feel like at that point, it's kind of like y'all both need to know and protect yourself for what you
absolutely.
Need. You know what I mean?
He knows. I mean, his whole song, if you think about it, we want prenup. We want prenup. Yeah. He ain't stupid.
At the end of the day, exactly. That's exactly what it is. Right.
I just want to first and foremost, before I wanted to say this before we even get into anything. First and foremost, I just want to thank you guys for inviting me to this platform.
Oh, absolutely.
You know, being with you, we are longtime friends. You know, Stizzo and I, longtime friends from the beginning. Like, we from promoting to fashion. I mean, Mod Boss, and we can get into all of that. But I just want to say I love what you guys are doing. It's an testament to who you guys always have been in the community. Really reaching out to the people and staying consistent. This is definitely, like, to me, literally, I just saying to somebody, this is an honor. Like if I were on like an Earn Your Leisure or whatever podcast platform, what's another one? Many of those podcasts that people are watching. I don't even watch the hip hop ones as much no more because I'm so much on Earn Your Leisure that I can't even think. But Drink Champs, whatever the case may be, these other platforms. But
I appreciate that. And you,
am I still breaking up?
No, you sound so great.
I just want to. I was just saying to say Lisa and to use Stiz, man. Like I really appreciate you guys bringing me on, and how much I appreciate what y'all doing for the culture, what y'all doing for even for the women, right? Like the inspiration that you're providing for women out here and taking that leadership and letting them know, like, we out here doing some great things and mixing it up. This is amazing, and you guys look absolutely amazing. I want to say that too. Y'all are looking beautiful, and y'all are bringing the fucking culture forward. So I just want to thank you again for that, man. Before I do anything, I just want to thank you for that, for sure.
No, thank you, much appreciated.
We are so happy to have you as
trials and tribulations.
Yes, exactly. To have you on and to share your knowledge. And again, like to reconnect, like I haven't seen you in forever, and I'm like, that's my dude. Like I love that.
So we get into anything yet? Or are we still just on the?
Now we're just talking about.
So I think at this point, Edgar, what I would love to do is to tell the people what you're doing and what you're about, and we're talking about, guys, today, financial freedom, and we all need them chains burnt.
Yeah, I mean, I mean, where can I start? You know, financial freedom to me is it's like a love affair, really. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's something that, especially in our community, it's kind of unspoken word. It's a nuanced relationship that we don't really get to embrace from the beginning. We learn as we go. Mm-hmm. Even when we're growing up, like I know I grew up in a family where finances weren't really discussed, right? Mm-hmm. You know, it was just, and we grew up okay, right? So things were just there and it appeared, but we didn't really know the background of it. And even like understanding like how to buy a house or how to, you know, how you pay bills, how we eating, how we, you know, these things that were just either allotted to us or not, wasn't explained, especially in the Black community. We got to understand this is something, you know, that just like love and sex is something that's almost taboo. Like we got to learn by just jumping into it. I think what we need to do moving forward is just be open at the table and just kind of air it all out as it comes. So my background, I mean, I'm a regular dude. I'm from Cambridge, grew up in Cambridge. You know, like any other brother, you know, tried his hand in a lot of shit in the streets, did like dumb shit, whatever. And I'll make this a very short, quick story, but you know, I grew up just like any other kid, man. Like, you know, trying to have fun, did a lot of dumb shit, got caught up in the situation, and I had I had the chance. I should say chance, but it was really like at that time, it was like either you're gonna go to jail or you're gonna go into the military. Those around 95, 96-ish. I'm kind of telling my age, but that's what happened. And so I was like scooted out here. Right. So I was kind of scooted out here. Prior to that, like I said, I grew up, you know, I used to be, you know, worked for Bob the Chefs. You know what I'm saying? Bob the Chef, right?
Bob the
Chef. Like I was literally Bob the Chef.
Yes.
You know, and
we both went. Okay.
Was mentored by some great guys, but I just was a knucklehead. You know what I'm saying? Still doing knucklehead shit. I had kids early, you know, like, you know, trying to be a good father, but still kind of like in the streets as well. And at that time, you know, a lot of our good influences couldn't really grab you in, where the bad influences was the one that was kind of like, yo, bump that, we're going to continue. So situation I got caught up in was like, yo, you got to do this or this. So I went to the Army. And at that time, you know, it was big. Talking about the Army was like, oh, Army's not a place for a Black man. You know, you're going to go to war, you're going to die, blah, this, that, and the third. I guarantee, I'm telling you right now, that was the best move that I did because of the fact, and it's not about like it being me a man and, you know, gave me structure. Yes, it did that. However, the benefits, which I talk about all the time, the benefits of me joining the military was really what secured my current future. I say that to say this. I initially went in for 3 and I ended up staying for 10. So first and foremost, I had a great ass time. I traveled the world. I met a lot of great people. You know, I was hanging out with the, you know, I mean, it's gonna be a guy show, so you know, like
we know.
I was chilling.
We know your history.
I was chilling.
The green eyes got them all.
To come on for
my hair is getting big.
So we know your
history. You know, like young, very virile, very in shape. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, that I had a great time. When I got out, it was like. And through those experiences, I was overseas, you know, and I was big into the fashion thing, big time. Like, you know, I love like music and fashion and culture, and I traveled and seen all these things. Kind of like that Kanye thing, like, you know, you see these colors, these palettes. Instead, I used to like get suits made with the jacket and the t-shirt and the blazer, you know, all of this stuff. And I had really influenced by that European and Asian culture. It got me into sneakers, it got me into fashion. And when I came back, you know, my cousin who was doing real estate, crazy. I'm going to just drop his name. His name is Patrick Target.
I remember
Patrick, Norfolk Capital. Like at that time, he was the youngest person in the hood amongst a group of them was buying real estate, but stuck the path. this dude, you would never know. And sometimes, and he's so low key because he's like, man, I hate when you like talk about. But literally, if you live in Boston, Roxbury, Dorchester, Mattapan, and abroad, like if you live in an apartment, if you rent an apartment, best believe it, one of them is probably his. And when I tell you that, like legit to this day, one of the largest real estate guys in Boston, and like, I mean, we could do a whole show on him. We got to get him on. But the time, he had owned a building on Washington Street. Like, yo, my G, like, and at that time I was hustling. So I used to sell CDs, I used to sell watches, I used to sell bags. You know what I'm saying? Like doing my thing. I want to go to New York, pick up the fake Jacobs and shit, going to Canada, Carabana, selling them on the streets, burning the CDs. I used to have like CDs and all this stuff. Like had cats who was making the CDs, send them to me. And well, we shouldn't say I was selling because that's, but doing my thing.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Hold on, you was
so, that was big. And literally at that time, I was probably making as much money as like your friendly neighborhood drug dealer. I ain't gonna front. Like that's how it was. It was coming in like that. Especially in the military, we didn't have like those CDs like that. So when I used to bring them back, I used to just triple them up. And when I was overseas too in Korea, that was like. So anyway, came back. He was like, "Yo, you do this fashion shit. You want to? I got the store. You want to do this boutique?" And I was like, "Yeah, like word." Took a little entrepreneur training program to just kind of get the background and all that stuff, but still kind of very green in that because I used to be more of like hustling as opposed to understanding the business.
Right.
This is what we have to understand.
Yes, that's a big thing because especially a lot of us coming from the city and the backgrounds that we come from, we think of like the hustle mentality. And we don't invest in the business education to understand how that works.
Yeah. And so I thought, at that time as an influencer, like, I knew people from the club. I knew a lot of girls, like, come to the store. Let's do this and do that. I'm the owner of Mod, blah, blah, blah. Although I was co-owner, I was the main guy. But my partner put up all the bread. So he's like, well, yeah, you own on paper, but you know what I'm saying? But I used to really fight him on it. Like, it was those things that I didn't really quite understand that kind of made me kind of fall out with the situation in a way. Not a negative way because business was still, but at the point, and plus it was the turn of the economic downturn. It was that 2009 economic downturn, housing crisis, and all that shit was happening. Things was changing. And so at that time, I was like, you know what? I think I'm just going to fall back and just move forward and just do something else. That's when I got into promoting. But it always stuck in my head that had I had more of a business mind, as opposed to just being happy that I was in a store and we did all these crazy things. I mean, we broke barriers in the hood. Like Mod Boston, we didn't have like grates in the front. We had like beautiful storefronts. I mean, y'all remember what it looked like. We hired the designer for Valentino's storefront to do our storefronts. The city was behind us all the way. Mayor Menino, shout out to, passing Mayor Menino, but like, Golar, a lot of people in the community were really behind us in making this thing successful. I met a lot of great people. I met Brendan and Marcel from Society, handsome boy. Met y'all. Like, a lot of great. We did so much. It was so crazy. DJ parties, a lot of mixers. It really opened my eyes into how this thing was gonna go. But I needed to get my brain right. And I was more happy about the show part as opposed to the business part.
Right. So getting into the financial independence part, because I think you touched upon a word that's so important and so key, and it was the understanding piece, right? And I think first of all, Mike, I think every episode, I know.
Okay. I know that's right, girl.
Out where you want to be and what age you want to retire and how comfortable you want to be, you have to understand your needs. You have to understand what it means to you to be financially independent. And you have to really do the work to strategically plan what that looks like. And I think that's the first step that we almost sometimes fail on, right? Because we're looking at the bigger picture and saying, you know what, in order to retire, I need to have $2.1 million because I started so late in the game. Damn, that's a big number. I don't even know how I'm going to get there. Forget it. I'm just going to live day to day, right? And it's the understanding of it takes a roadmap to figure out the end game. We use Google Maps. Like, we don't just blindly get in our car and say, I'm going to Target. I've never been there. Let me figure out where it is. We figure out the direction first. And so I think as a people, we need to understand, put pen to paper, figure out your direction. And if you don't know where to start, identify what's important to you and what's your priority. Like, do you want to retire at 50? Do you want to retire at 60? Do you want to retire at 75? Do you want to work until you're 75? Like, you have to know what you want first in order to identify where you need to go and how you need to get there. Don't worry about the process and the steps in between. Figure out what it takes, what you want is your end game, and then figure out what it takes is what I'm trying to say.
Right. Absolutely.
Very true. No, that's true. That's absolutely true. You know,
we still there? Mic check 1 2.
Yeah. No, I think absolutely what you're saying is right. It's that roadmap that's very important, because without that, you're just walking into these things blindly. And you know, when you come from a hustle mentality and you don't have that, you are living day to day. The important thing for you to get for you to secure that bag, if you will, is to understand what you're doing and put time into what you're doing. Or if it doesn't make sense, it gives you enough time to cut and run it and figure something out. Sometimes you have to pivot, and that pivot has to be within the plan as well, right? Look at even COVID. Look at how many businesses had to figure out their strategy in order for them to move, and some of them failed because they didn't have a backup plan, and they failed. Or some of them got creative, and like even restaurant kind of was like, oh shit, we're gonna flop. Let's start doing this delivery service. Some of these restaurants are now even using their spaces as ghost kitchens for other businesses to be able to thrive, and using these delivery services to be able to do their business. So you'll have one restaurant with 50 different restaurants going on inside because they're using the commercial kitchen to then be able to disperse their deliverables. So
or even as individual people during COVID, I'm pretty sure that was a time last year, March, where a lot of people got really nervous, and there's probably people still today who are feeling the brunt of COVID and can't figure out where the next meal is coming from, how they're paying their next bill. I literally every day thank God, I'm super blessed. My family is super blessed. My mind is blown as to how many times I've been in situations where I was almost dead broke, and God figured me out, right? And
absolutely.
People who struggled when COVID first hit, a lot of people weren't financially prepared.
No.
They didn't have savings. They didn't have a backup plan. And that's the part that's so important, and why we wanted to bring this topic to the forefront, is because we have to identify, especially in the Black community, because as you said earlier, Edgar, it's not talked about in our homes a lot of times. Not that there's some folks who got it together and they're teaching their kids, totally understandable. That does happen. But oftentimes, more than not, we're not taught at a young age how to be financially fit when we become adults. Or we hear, make sure you have a savings plan, make sure you have this going on, and you don't know what that means. You don't know what that savings plan should equal. You don't even know if that should be in a bank account as a savings plan, or maybe that money should be sitting in a betterment account, or maybe that money should be sitting somewhere else where it's working for you, and money as a tool. And I think even when I was growing up, I always saw money as a necessity. My mom worked for her money. The money didn't work for her. And I was taught at a young age that, you know what? I'm going to have bad credit. I'm going to be living paycheck to paycheck. That was what I saw, right? And until I moved out with my aunt, I was probably a sophomore in high school. I moved in with my aunt because my mom and I, we just had our issues. And my aunt literally had 15 credit cards. I always saw the bill on the table, paid with a date on it. She had her checks and balances in place. And even at a young age, I was like, damn, she's paying her bills, but how did she get these cards? So I went and I got a credit card very young. And I lied on my application. I said I was 18. I was a sophomore in high school. I got $500. My cousin called me. Your credit card came in the mail. I ran my ass to Cambridge Side Galleria, the Guess store, bought like 4 pairs of jeans. Like, it was crazy. And then I never paid the bill, right? So even though I saw my aunt refinancing her home, paying her bills on time, because we never had the conversation, I didn't understand the importance behind making sure your credit was good at a young age so that you could be in a place to be successful and be able to buy what you want when you get older, right? And they say cash is king. Yes, we get that. Cash is king. Cash is always going to be king. But your credit is about your profile and who you are. More
your DNA. Your credit is your DNA 1000%, because your credit is legit everything for you. Cash is liquid, and liquid means that I can drink this and it be gone in 2 seconds. That's what cash is. But your credit is literally your DNA, because I went through the same exact thing growing up where my mom, she had 22 credit cards. And I'm like, they were all a mix of credit, store cards, just credit in general, but 22. And there were times where my mom lived paycheck to paycheck. So that was another thing growing up where it's like, all right, I'm living paycheck to paycheck because I need to pay what I got to pay. And then, okay, this can be late. I'll put some, you know how we are. I'll put some on this and put a low on this. You know what I mean? On this bill, that bill. And
meanwhile, hurting you.
Right. And seeing her, you know, it's like, okay, well, this week I don't have it. So I'm gonna have to pawn the TV this week so I can get necessities of like food in order for us to eat. And then on the next paycheck, I'll get that out the pawn shop, and then kind of just that cycle of that. And it was never a communication in my household either. I didn't learn about credit until I was in senior year of legit senior year of college.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a system that's in place. That's a system that's in place, right? So they don't want you to be, and I always say that there should be some sort of financial literacy in grade school, even. Right. Even with my kids now, I have a program with them, like how they earn. It's beyond just allowance. It's literally like, we do this to get this to then get that, right?
Right.
Because you know what, Edgar? Allowance is, for me, I look at allowance as the 9 to 5. Allowance is 9 to 5. Right. So it's like.
It's preparing them for well, because if they know every Friday they're going to get $1 just for nothing.
Facts.
Mm-hmm.
It's preparing their mind for like subsidy. Like, to me, it's like.
That's facts.
You better go watch some dishes. You better go. I don't care if you 4. You better make that bed.
Facts.
Right. Well, we're putting the system like. For those that went to college, like that's part of the system, right? That's part of the plan, because when you go to college, what happens? Unless you got a full ride, full scholarship, you don't have to pay anybody, you're going to have student loans, right? So it starts with that. And, you know, I what I learned was the worst thing that I could have done. And anybody who's watching, who's in this position right now, when it comes to student loans, don't defer your student loans. Unless you absolutely have to defer your student loans, don't defer your student loans. Because what happens is that $5,000 that you borrowed is going to turn into $10,000 very easily, because you're pushing it back. They're gaining more interest and you're not going to win. You're going to just owe more money. So it's having that set of knowledge and teaching your kids from early on the right way to go about doing things. I mean, one, get a damn scholarship, right? Because if you get a full ride, right? Don't go to school. No. But
can I just add something to that college thing?
Yep.
Anything college related, I will never be able to talk on, and I just got to get brushed up on it, because as a member of the military and as a veteran, which I preach, this is one of the debts that I don't have to ever worry about, because as a veteran, you're going to school for free 100%. They pay for your books, and there's another thing on top of that. They pay for your housing allowance, which a lot of people don't know. So housing allowance here in Massachusetts is one of the highest in the payouts.
Right.
So New York, California, Boston, we get some of the highest payouts. So as I was going to school, I'm making $4,500 a month.
Yep.
While going to school.
Yep. But
you understand?
If somebody who has that situation now, right? Because to your point, I made it out on housing because I was an RA. I was a resident assistant. right? My sophomore year, like my first year, I don't remember how the hell I paid for housing in freshman year. I think it was part of my programs. I went through some program. But anyway, right. I was a resident assistant purposely because I knew I didn't want to pay for food and housing. And if there's anyone in that position now where they're getting a check from school, whether it's like a, you know, rebate or whatever it is on tuition, use that shit as an investment. Don't go buy that Louis, Gucci, Fendi, Prada. Use it as an investment. And I think the same way when it comes to people who are scamming and like all the people who made it out on the pandemic money because they were scamming the system, who went right to Rodeo Drive and put that money right back into the white man's pocket. Like you didn't scam anybody but yourself because you didn't use that money to invest it in a smart way. You didn't buy any like real estate. You didn't invest it into stocks. You didn't get a Roth IRA. Like you just went and spent it on.
You didn't buy your homeboy's t-shirt that he been selling online. You didn't buy your homeboy's t-shirt that he was selling online right next to you on IG, like
for real.
You know.
And that's a big issue. So
right,
you know, in terms of like credit and debt solution, you know, the other part I want to touch on, and like me, we've been through this, like, you know, my New York experience. I talked about it on Nyce Kicks a couple of times. When I moved to New York, my credit score was like a 525. It was really bad because I always ran from the problem, right? And I see the phone, hang up. I don't even want to pick up the phone. I don't want to talk to the credit collector. I worked for a collections company and I still didn't want to talk to them, even though I knew the game, right? So it's like the problem will not go away. So if you currently are in a situation where you have some debt that you are not facing and you're just like, you know what? I won't answer the phone. I won't check the mail. I'll throw it away. My advice is don't do it. Whatever problem you don't address or you don't face will stay there. It'll come back. Figure out how you can settle, right? Settlements are real. You just got to know the right time to get them motherfuckers. And I'm going to tell you, the right time is the end of the month because that's what we're like, yo, we need this commission. So I'm on the phone. When I used to work for the credit collection, I'm on the phone. Boom. I'm whipping it. I'm about to get this money because I need my commission check. So the end of the month, you're more than likely to take $5,000 that you owe and turn it into an $1,800 settlement and be done with it, right? Doesn't mean it's going to come off your report. It still stays, but you have to address the problem head on and not run from it because you'll run to get nowhere. And so when I was put in a position where I could not find an apartment, like I was literally making six figures on paper. I had six figures.
On paper is everything,
I had a great job.
Right.
Everything was in line except for my credit. And it was the score, yes, but it was also the bio that my credit told about me and the derogatory remarks and the things that they look at. Because sometimes the score isn't the whole story. It's what the story behind your credit score is and how reliable you are or you are not as a person, where these lenders look at whether or not they want to take a risk. So fast forward, thankfully I had that moment, right? I'm blessed by it because it got me to realize that's a point in my life where I felt like, damn, I wasn't shit. I made a lot of money bartending. I used to shop like a fucking crazy person. But I said to myself, I'm not worth anything because I can't even get an apartment in New York City. Like, how lame is that? Where I'm making all this money, but I need a guarantor, all this. So I was like, Stacey, you're a grown-ass woman. You got to figure it out. You got this great job right now. You're making six figures. Get your life together. And so I literally started with a small credit card, like Credit One Bank, something like.
They be doing like $300 limit. $300. Yes, like, girl. I know. Girl. Yes.
When they approved me, I was like, yo, I thought I hit the lottery.
Yo, facts.
So many years of not having that opportunity, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Like, boom, I hit the lottery for $300. And it's like, okay, I put my phone bill on that credit card.
Right.
We're paying our phone bill, right, Edgar? Like, nobody's going on this number's not.
No, facts.
Only taking incoming calls.
That's right.
Correct. Exactly.
You're paying your phone bill. So I put my phone bill on the card and I made sure I paid that monthly. And then I started to get increases. So fast forward, I won't tell y'all my credit score, but I will tell you a girl can go buy a house tomorrow if she wanted to. I'm in a better position. And now I have 10 credit cards, right? Before I couldn't even get one. And so it really makes a difference to understand you got to face things head on. Because had I not faced it, like, luckily I got an apartment in New York. I had a great job. I was there for 2 years. I had someone who was like, yo, you got $7,000 to drop right now. I trust you. You're going to pay your $2,500 rent. Like, let's do it. Or $2,300 rent.
Right.
So the point is you have to face it up front, because if I didn't face my credit and say, you know what, I know I got a job to secure me, I could live in New York, I could afford my lifestyle, I'm good, I'm out eating, I'm happy, and I just ignored my credit situation, who knows? I maybe wouldn't be in a situation where I'm in LA right now. I maybe wouldn't have been in a situation where I could lease a vehicle. So there's so much to it where you have to be able to say, you know what, let me just face the problem and deal with it and take your ego out of it. Like, let your ego go and know that if you don't learn from your failures, what do you have?
Right. Exactly.
I talked a lot. I'm gonna leave it at that.
No, that's good. No, that's perfect. And that's important for people to understand, because once you understand where you're at with your credit, you'll be able to have a better, again, it goes back to a relationship with it. There are certainly different strategies you can have too, because I've heard anyone from, all these credit repair guys, different strategies of how to do it. And I just kind of keep it simple to tell folks, because I heard you say you have 10 credit cards. Some may say that's good. Some may say it's not good because it's too many lines of credit. Right? You don't want to have too many trade lines open because that can also kind of create a balance, right, of how you are in the eyes of the credit bureau, right? I would say 3 credit cards with a higher approval or balance,
credit limit,
credit limit, than 6 with mediums, because what's important is your usage.
Right.
I always tell people you want to keep your usage down to about 20-25% to keep you in that good revolving score. So if you have a high limit, $20,000, and you're using 20% of that 20,000 to do whatever you need to do, you're in a better position than if you have a $300 limit and you're only paying you're using $50 off of it, right? And I know how that balances. It's still a good balance, because as long as you're still under that ratio in your payment, you're making the payment before it's reported, and all these other strategies that people will. I don't get into the strategies, right? Because I've heard so many,
right?
And because I have my own system. But as long as you keep it under a certain ratio, you're in the green, you're in the go, and then your credit score will go up. And you get more credit worthiness, like that will give you more of a balance. What was the word we used?
Credit limit.
Credit limit.
Credit.
Yeah.
Right. So more of a limit.
And then also
but trade lines, I always
history. So Edgar, that's the thing I learned the hard way, right? Because when I was fixing my credit, I didn't have a good history in terms of years. So options, parents that are watching, if you have children, when they hit that 18-year-old mark, add them as an authorized user, start them early, so they can start developing that credit history, because that plays a part. History is everything. Utilization is great. And to your point earlier, Edgar, like having those 10 cards, what I did, right, because I still have Credit One, I have Merit Bank, which is both of them are like weak banks. You don't really want to have that card if you don't need to, because I'm paying like an annual monthly fee to pay the annual fee.
There's good cards to have, and there's not so good cards.
Right.
You're right.
So I'm in the process now of closing those accounts, right? Because people also hear, don't close accounts like it's a bad thing. It depends on the bank. Don't close an Amex. Don't close a Chase account, because you're gonna want them. Like, don't screw up with those banks. But your Merit, your Credit One, your Premier One, all those little bullshit banks that you get in the mail just to start you out, it's okay to close those accounts once you develop the credit limit to allow you to do that. So now that I have limits on my Chase, on my Amex, on my cards that are big hitters, my Barclays, like now I can close those accounts with Credit One and Premier and Merit and say, bye, I'm not paying you any more money just to hold that little bit of credit that you're giving me, because they're not even giving you a lot anyway.
No,
right?
It's not included in your credit utilization, because it's a small. It's a small amount. Exactly. It's not gonna.
That's right.
It's not gonna affect your bigger card limits, and then it all plays a part in your credit utilization.
Right. So start them early, and then the other thing is, if you have a friend or a family member who trusts you, and they know that, hey, I can add you onto my card as an authorized user, because they have the history and they have the credit limit that will help your overall credit limit, then do that. And so I had posted a while ago, because I was actually entertaining the idea of adding someone to, my accounts so that they can build their score and they can get themselves in a position to win, because someone did that for me. A close friend of mine did that for me, and she trusted me, and that helped boost my score like 70 points. Which is crazy, right? Because that's a big roller coaster. Like, you'll get all these points, you'll be happy. As soon as you get that Credit Karma email, you're like, oh shit, what happened? And then that roller coaster dips, and you're like, I literally bought one thing that was $100, and now I'm at 31% realization, and now I lost 70 points. So
that's right.
Put it in play.
Right. That's important. Like, that's something for you to watch. And also those little bills that, a lot of people. So what I've noticed with a lot of people, especially due to COVID or hospitalization, there might be different bills that goes out. And sometimes you're not paying attention to these bills. I've had a few cases that come to me and said, damn, I had this little bill. Maybe it was an ambulance bill. I paid my health insurance paid for this or that.
Lisa's like,
I had a baby. I had two babies, and I'm like, okay, my health insurance. Having a baby is not cheap at all. It's at least 20 grand.
And girl, she's like,
I know.
Yes,
I've had 30.
It's at least 20 grand. And I remember getting the bill for my first son, and I'm like, y'all want me to pay what? Like, my insurance paid for that. Like, I can control that I went into labor and went in here. That's what I have health insurance for. And the fact that I got that bill for the additional amount, I'm like, this is out of control right now. Like, you don't think about that. You're not saving or have an emergency fund or a savings plan for those things that life can bring you. And that's like,
but if that goes into collections, we can ding you. Like, I had a guy who got dinged like 60 points legit off of a $200, $250, $100 bill that he just missed. He just missed it. It was like, I didn't even, and I was like, yo, so, I always tell people, get these apps, like, Self App is a good one. I'll promote that one. There's other ones that help you really monitor what you're doing when it comes to like establishing your credit, watching what you're doing, helping your budgeting, spending, and all those. There's plenty of good ones.
Yeah.
A lot of programs that people buy into, like the the ones that you spend $90 a month, and then they'll send out the letters for you, and then a lot of times you can do that stuff yourself.
Right.
And a lot of them promote that you can help other people, but you have to be motivated to do that. Because I fell into those, like, those kind of like I wouldn't call them pyramid scheme, but kind of like network marketing.
Get rich quick things.
Well, some people do well. It's based on what you're doing, right? Because they can help. But if you're not in it, then you're just spending $100 a month for nothing, because they already sent out the appropriate information to the bureaus, because you want to report to all 3 bureaus when you do that, when you dispute your credit. A lot of times, if those inquiries are on your report for a long time, people think you have to wait 7 years and 9 years or 11 years for it to drop off. A lot of times, if you send it, these companies have up to 45 days. It's literally 30 days, but like 45 days to search it, find it, make sure it's yours, and if not, it automatically by law has to drop off. Yep. That's happened to me in the past, where it was like, yo, I have filings something. Like, well, last time we don't even know what the hell filings is. Do you remember filings?
No. Yeah, I remember. I
know what I'm saying.
I worked for
them. But years ago, it was still in my credit report, and I had to like send this letter off, and it was gone. It was like, I don't know, maybe like $3,000, $2,000, but it was gone. So I was like, I was glad that happened. But I would say in these trade lines, or in these credit lines that you have, for me, and my tactic is to have an Amex, if you can, and you have to earn that, an Amex card, 2 good credit cards with a decent limit. You have like 10,000 or better. That's good, right? And you can get that almost not easy if it's bad, but easy if you're on pace. Your car. That's important. Reporting.
Yes.
And I always tell people, when you have a car, put it on an auto pay with your bank, because one, it's going to deduct sometimes it's a quarter of a point, sometimes a half a point on the interest rate.
Yes.
Right. So that helps you out a little bit. And then also reports. So that reporting helps. And then a store card, not a store like fucking, not like Louis Vuitton or Victoria's Secret, more like a
Walmart
or like a furniture store, a good furniture store that you furnished and you're making these like Bob's Furniture or something, Jordan's Furniture, Ashley's. These things are good on your report, especially reporting, especially if you're making payments on a consistent basis. And I always say opt in if they have it to an auto pay, and then work with your budget to make sure it gets paid. If you have to eat ramen goddamn noodles that month,
facts.
That's what you're doing.
Facts. Right.
Because you're doing that for a short period of time to keep that score up 750, 800. And now you can get the higher limits on your credit report.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
I want us to touch on budgets too, but right before that, to your point, Edgar, what I wanted to just close out with is when you guys have credit, like there's a difference between, and Lisa's a business owner, Edgar's a business owner. There's a difference between having business credit and having personal credit.
Yeah.
If you're anyone who's watching and you own your own business or you're thinking about owning your own business, make sure that you set yourself up for success, because there's so many ways to use your business credit to finance your financial independence and do it the right way, especially if you want to flip houses. Like a lot of times people talk about, oh, I don't have money to flip a house. Little do you know, money's a tool. It's out there. You just have to understand how to find it and how to use it.
Yes.
Right? There's people who have money who are ready to give it to you. So if you own a business, make sure like you have a business address that's separate from your personal address. You have a business phone number that's separate from your personal phone number. And your business credit is not tied to your social. So the two don't go hand in hand. Your personal credit and your business credit are totally separate.
Your EIN number.
I was about to say that, Edgar. That EIN number is important, because that's what, when you have a separate, that EIN number under the business is what the government is going to come for under the business, and not what you're putting in for what your employer is or what your other income is coming from, if somebody that you're working with.
Right.
So to touch a little bit on that and to do a deeper dive on that, I don't know if I properly introduced myself to the audience.
My name is Edgar.
Yes, you did. I'm like, you.
I used to use snowflakes at the.
What do you mean? Okay.
So as VP Relationship Manager for Berkshire Bank, my job is to connect people not only in their banking needs, but also in their financial future, right? So I create relationships for people to understand where their money is going to go, how they're going to get it in. And I connect those people, whether it's wealth management, whether it's mortgages, whether it's figuring out what you need to do for personal loans and deposits and such. Financial literacy is good, but I also partner with a lot of people. Here's the thing. The three things I always tell people you must have, especially getting into business. Have a good banker. And this is something that a lot of banks have gotten away with, like kind of walked away with over the years. You kind of walk into a branch, you talk to your branch manager, you may talk to a sales agent, and they help you, and then that's it.
Right.
Look for banks that have some sort, and banks are starting to pick that up now. Have a relationship manager, because they're going to help find you the right direction to where you're going to go. Number two, an accountant is the one that's going to help formalize your business. And they're going to understand what you're trying to do for your taxes, how to be set up for your business. Right. A lot of people think, I'm going to go to, not saying this is wrong. People think, I'm going to go to LegalZoom, start an LLC, boom, I'm in business, let's go.
No.
That's not necessarily the case. If you're an independent guy selling, a G.I. Joe or a candy or a T-shirt or whatever, that's cool. You have some sort of protection. That's great. And they offer a slew of things with lawyers and such, without getting into that part. But if you really are looking to really up your ante, especially guys who have cash money. And that's as far as I can say this. Cats who are already coming in with cash, I'm just going to briefly talk about this. You need to understand what you need to do to set yourself up so that can be done in a proper way. Gifts and all that stuff that you have set aside. You sold a lot of sneakers and you're sitting on $10,000 of money, right? You have all this money because you be selling kicks and
because you got my bios and you sold them to somebody else.
Right. You know, what are we doing? If you're going to continue to make this a business, you know, LLCs are great. Look into S corps, right? Because protection is even better. You want to have people that are your shareholders. You create these titles for people in your business, even if it's one yourself. You want it to be as far away from you. You want to be far removed from the business for protection. And that's where a lawyer comes in, because now your agreements need to be as such. And not all three know all the same things. I myself, I'm learning every day on the importance of what's out there and how things change. Legislation changes through every administration. So what may have worked 4 years ago may not work today.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I remember there was a time when cats was like, we go to the strip club, cats had stack of money and throwing it. And it was like, yo, at the end of the day, I can write this money off because it's for entertainment. That was good for them. We don't know if that's good now because of X, Y, and Z things. So that's why it's good to have these three people. Your banker he should be as knowledgeable as he can be, like myself. And I pride myself in knowing a lot, but what I don't, I have a great attorney. I have a great accountant.
Yeah.
These are the things you have to understand in order for you to move forward. Now, if you have your business, as Stizzo was saying, reporting your business, right? It's not just you have your ID, tax ID, in your corporation. You want to be reported correctly. Your Duns and Bradstreet record is very important, because these are the ones that's reporting your business.
Right.
If you don't have a proper Duns and Bradstreet, which we call Duns and Brads, it's kind of like people leverage their personal credit because of the fact that they're not aware of Duns and Brads.
Right.
And when you establish that, you establish the business under that. So the reporting that you do under that EIN, you make sure that they're reporting to your DUNS number. There's a number that's affixed to your business that's going to report, so then you can grow. And there's a lot of companies, like I tell people all the time, you have a Duns and Brad, open an account with Staples and buy all your office supplies, because they're going to report it to your DUNS, and then that's going to build your credit. That's how you get those $10,000 credit cards.
Right.
I know some people with some shitty personal credit, but their business credit is like, they got like $50,000 worth of credit.
Right.
Yep.
Sometimes you don't have to report your personal, your credit, your personal social on some of these lines based off of the history that's been reported on your business.
Right.
So these are the little nerdy things that you got to take a look at and kind of pay attention to. And I could get into deep, like what the number needs to look at. But I'm saying this is the things that you need to look at in order for you to, really grow your business, your personal business, and your business growth. So you can, when you lease it up. Give another one. When you're buying your car, like I'm trying to buy this i8 soon.
Right.
But lease that car into your business.
Yep.
Lease that car into your business. They're gonna report it to your thing. Boom.
Exactly.
$150,000 car, bro. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
If your business numbers are good, then and you're writing it off as a tax, this is part of your business.
Mm-hmm.
But again, I'm saying this, I'm literally saying this on a high level. You really want to consult with your tax accountant to let you know the ins and outs. But I'm just saying, when you see these things happen, when you see so-and-so, you're like, damn, so-and-so got the damn Lambo or whatever. Not big out, like nobody really has super luxurious cars, but I know like a place, DC, Atlanta, Cali, a lot of them know how to leverage that thing, and you see them in crazy whips.
Yeah.
Right.
And you use that also as branding, right? So depending on
use that branding, exactly.
It's branding. So you might lease a Lamborghini through your business, but you're branding yourself because you're the top. You want to be the top realtor in LA or Mass.
Right.
So,
That's right.
I don't know any realtors in Massachusetts that got a Lamborghini in the Black community, right? So if I saw one, I'd be like, oh shit, like I might want him or her to find my property.
It's all
right?
image,
so it's
right?
a branding thing too. So in terms of budgeting, because that was the next topic I want to get into to make sure we hit budgeting. We're on the hour.
Wait, there's one thing too. One thing before we get off that topic. Leasing is not bad. Leasing is not like, bro, we got to stop thinking, oh, if I lease, that means I don't own and this and that. Every executive that I know, every guy that comes from a certain wealth advantage point, they are leasing their whips. They're not buying whips. That's a poor man's strategy. Trust and believe. Unless I buy it outright, I'm leasing my car.
I financed my Honda, and I was like, why did I pay $23,000 for a Honda Civic? And now I lease my Mini Cooper, and I'm like, word, I don't got to go pay for brake fluid. I just drive that shit to the mini dealer. Thank you.
Right.
Because as soon as it comes off it comes off the dealership, it depreciates in value. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Yeah.
So,
and again,
I hate
that's
to cut
like
y'all off.
The unknown.
I hate to cut y'all off, but I love y'all. But I
have to graduate.
Yes, I have to jump off real quick.
Good to see you.
For one, okay, so let's use this as a drop moment before Edgar and I continue on budgeting and close it out on like what to do next and investing in yourself. We're gonna talk about investing in yourself as well. And Lisa right now is she's investing in herself and doing a home buyer's course. So she wasn't originally going to be on the episode. And thankfully, like we have such a strong bond as best friends, and she trusts me. She forced me. But I was able to get her to get on the episode and listen to her class in the background, whatever the case may be. Because she got me, she got Brent, she got people who can help on the real estate side. So anyway, Lisa, I'm glad you came. I'm pretty sure the Nyce Kicks community was so happy to see your face and hear your input.
Yes,
I know you were studying. I mean, not studying, but listening in. So. Two different things going on, but you're investing in yourself. We love you very much. Eggy and I.
It's good to see you too. Good to see you.
Love you. Love you guys so much. Yes, thank you.
Good to see you.
And thank you again for watching Nyce Kicks every week. Thank you, Edgar. I love you.
And make sure you get your mood lashes or your glue.
Absolutely.
Moodlashes.co. Before this ends, use the code to get a discount. It's sponsored by Mood Lashes.
All of that.
Bye, Lisa.
Bye. I don't know how to get out of here.
So, Edgar, I want to talk about the budgeting part because that's big, right? For people, some people don't even understand. I was in that place originally too. I was like, how do I even create a budget? Like, how do I even know what I'm doing in terms of how much money is going here? How much should I allocate to X, Y, and Z? And I had to learn to sit down and say, when I create my budget, I need to understand where I'm spending my money. So I had to track my expenses first before I even created the budget. Because I had to know where the money was going down to like the French fries that I purchased at McDonald's, right? Like you have to know where every penny is going because if you don't know where your money's going, you're not going to be able to manage it, right?
Yeah, no, it's important. I mean, the first thing that I've learned when it came to budgeting, and I mean, I struggle with it still to this day. You know, I'm still human, right? I spend as I go sometimes. You know, I've learned to, one bad strategy that I use is I use everything on my credit card and I pay it off, right? It's a good strategy, but it could be a bad one too, because if you don't do it within the time limit, it could ding you, whatever. But first thing in budgeting is pay yourself first. Like that's the first thing you should really be thinking about. Anything you do, you want to pay yourself first. You know, they say pay your tithes to the church or whatever the case may be. The first easy step is to pay yourself first, because now you know you're allotting this for yourself to do whatever you want personally. That's an investment in yourself. These are things that we didn't learn. We always pay and then afterwards, oh shit, I want to get this pair of sneakers or whatever. If you budget right, you pay yourself first. You're already preparing for that shoe that's about to drop or whatever the case may be.
Right.
And then really either have a spreadsheet. I'm looking at my other computer. Have a spreadsheet. I mean, I used to have a book literally with all my bills written down, exactly what it is and how much it was going to be, and literally just pay on those. Ratios, I'm not going to get into really ratios. Do you pay 30% into this, pay to that? It's really just paying attention. Again, we're talking relationship, right? It's like paying attention to your spouse or your significant other. You know when the cues when she's not feeling right or when she is or he, you know what I'm saying? It's a love language, right? You gotta like, okay, this is what I rock with, this is what I don't rock with. But you gotta pay attention because it will get ahead of you and you'll lose it. Right? You paying bills and then you feel like you're never catching up. That's the circle we get in. So budgeting is very important. But the key is to write it down. You have to see it. Check off when you pay. So, there's a thing, and I don't know the term, but when you make a payment and you check it off, there's a sense of euphoria that comes to you like, oh, man.
I love paying my bills. Like
it feels good. It's like, I did it. Right.
I feel
it's a feeling.
People who run from their bills or who feel like fuck because their mentality is I'm broke. And I think that's the thing, too, where we need to take that out of our vocab because we speak into existence the things that are going to be present. So don't say you're broke, even if you are living paycheck to paycheck or you don't know where your next meal is coming from. You're not broke, you're blessed. So stop saying you're broke. Money comes to you based on manifesting and using the money, right? Again, money's a tool. So for me, I'm like, I'm going to spend this money because it's going to come back. I'm going to invest this money. And like Brendan was the first person to really tell me to pay myself first because I was doing a lot of paying my bills and then buying shit that made me happy and then paying myself with whatever like pennies I had left over. And he was the one to be like, yo, you have to pay yourself first. And when I started to do that, my savings increased crazy. And I was like, a bitch got money. Like, where is this coming from? But it was because I was investing in myself first and making sure I was tucking money away for a rainy day. And that's the other thing. Separate your accounts. Like have your emergency fund and have your savings account. Like don't put the two together because if you have to pull from your emergency fund and that's in your savings, you're setting yourself up for failure.
They don't have cards for them either.
Yeah.
Yeah, the ones that's emergency don't have cards for them.
Yep. So when I look at budgeting and what I learned is one, again, write down all your expenses. So track your expenses for 30 days. As hard as it is, because you literally by the minute, but we all have our phones. We're all on our phones. If you got an iPhone, you got the notes. I don't know what Androids carry, but track every time you use your card, your charge card, or you use cash, track that purchase. Write it down so that you can go back at the end of the day and say, here's the things that I spent on, and here's how much I spent. So then you can identify and align your necessary, like the things that you need with the things that you're just spending because you feel like I'm just buying. And I think when I looked at my pie, because I'm Bank of America, and I know a lot of people shit on Bank of America, but when I looked at the spending pie, like the total spending pie, they do this whole, color circle for the month. I was like, okay, so I need to learn how to cook. I still don't really know how to cook, but I need to learn how to cook because I'm spending.
Girl, you better learn how to cook.
30%
well, go ahead.
Of my income.
I'll let that slide.
Like 30% of my income on eating out. Like that's crazy. Had I flipped it and that 30% of my income was going on investments, I may not be on Nyce Kicks right now, right? So you have to really understand where your money is going, like down to the dollar, right? And pay yourself first. So create that budget. Create, like you said, a good thing to use is a spreadsheet. I have a spreadsheet for all my expenses, my cards. When I pay it, I always pay my shit a month in advance, so I don't have to worry about it. When I switched my phone and didn't have the app, I was like freaking out. Did I pay the bill? And I was like, you good. You paid it a month in advance. But you have to know what you have to get to. And once you pay yourself, pay your bills, the money you have left over, that's where you decide, can I buy that pair of sneakers? Can I take that trip? Can I do X, Y, and Z? And go from there. And I'm like, what's the saying? The tea kettle calling the pot.
Oh, yeah.
Pot calling tea kettle black. Because I like to shop. I used to be really bad. I'm not as bad anymore. But like, I'm literally going to my desk drawer right now. And I'm just going to show y'all something. Like, these are receipts, like store receipts. Like, your girl likes to shop. But
even in the pandemic, even in the pandemic, you shopping like that?
But the point is, you have to make sure you have a budget. Yes, there are things and there are check boxes that I can get better at, right? There's places I could be putting the money that I'm spending at Zara or, the money that I'm spending on little trips here and there that I don't necessarily need to spend in other places. Yes, but you have to understand what works for you as a person, right? And me, I'm someone who I have a big, I don't know, I want to say the right term. I believe wholeheartedly in YOLO. Okay? You only live once. So I am that person. I don't sit still. I like to go out. I like to be social. I like to experience life. And sometimes I do that at the expense of, I might not have paid myself this week, but I feel great that I saw my family, right? And you got to have those moments, but you have to know what's important to you. So then I have to position myself to say, you know what? Get into real estate. Get into something that will allow you to have a flexible schedule and make money so that you can do what you want to do and what makes you happy, but also be able to get a paycheck that's going to pay for you to be able to do those things, and also still have your savings going on, your investments happening. Like, just have your shit in order and do what you want to do. Like, no one can tell you what's best for you but yourself.
That's right. I mean, it's a mindset, right? So once you get into a different mindset,
I shop too much.
Say again?
I said I shop too much. I'm well aware of it. I know it. I've gotten better though. But
yeah, it's a mindset. You know, you gotta, you know, once you understand what you want to, when you want to get where you want to get to, and you create that mindset. But it's practice too, right? Like I said, I'm not perfect. I still spend money on shit that I know that, you know, I shouldn't, even if I may even, you know, quote unquote, and we don't really like, there's another topic too, but even though when I say I got it, you know, to do it, we really don't have it at the end of the day. Like when we think about the community as a whole, but even then, that mindset, that discipline is the one that's going to keep you in play to be able to continue moving forward. And then you will then start doing it the right way. So it's all mindset, it's discipline. And then once you start, like I said, once you start checking these bills off and you say, oh man, I'm so glad that I paid this. I feel so good. Now I got $150 more to save. I always tell people too, once you get rid of that bill, don't use that money that you was paying monthly and use it as your slush fund. Put it towards that savings.
Yes.
You know, and I always tell people, treat yourself. So if it was 150, and this is, again, all things I say is me, but if it was 150, I would put the 100 up and could keep the 50 for myself because, like you said, I like to shop. I like to shop too. If you saw the amount of sneakers that I have, you would think I'm a damn Foot Locker.
Right.
But then here you go. You've been putting away. You've been paying the 150. I'm gonna put away the 100. I'll keep the 50. Now I can maybe spend a little bit more on that re-release or the resale price because you know Cats is killing us with these resale prices.
Right.
But yeah, strategy is everything, and not one formula is the same. That's why I encourage people go to the Self app. Check out different things on YouTube because there's so many financial planners now, especially pandemic. There was so many people that popped up and know how to get involved in your finance and Bitcoin and, you know, investment strategies and real estate. And, you know, they're all good. They're all bad. It's how you take it in.
Yep.
But do your due diligence and do your research and make sure that it's one that fits for you because no one strategy is the same. So, yeah, man.
And that leads right into kind of the next and final top focus on this topic, which is investing in yourself. So again, shout out to everybody who's on the live right now with us. Nyce Kicks Thursday. We do this every week, Thursdays, 8:00 Eastern time, live on YouTube. We're so appreciative to have everybody watching live. If you're here, you're commenting, we see you. So shout out to Brendan, Syndicate, Terrence, Dr. Dapper just joined the building. Racine, we saw you earlier, Alex. I like to shout out everybody because, as you know, Edgar, being like someone who watched Nyce Kicks, it's all about our Nyce Kicks family and the people who are here kicking it with us. And that's where we started organically on IG. Like the commentary was everything. So I want to make sure anyone who's on the live feels like we see you, I see you, Edgar sees you. We're so appreciative. Lisa, who just jumped off a little while ago, so appreciative of everybody who's like continuing to be in this moment with us. Because again, we do this out of love. We do this out of just being transparent and something we never thought would even take off to this level. So shout out to all of you who are here joining and have all the commentary going on in the world.
Hey, shout out to you. Shout out to y'all, Nyce Kicks, for doing what you're doing for real. Shout out to you.
Wi-Fi struggle.
And you're bringing in people. you bringing in people with real world experience that you knew growing up. Like, shout out to your past guests. I've watched how you've grown and who you've brought on. And these are key people in the community that are doing their thing. So, shout out to you because, you keeping it funky, you keeping it real. So, yeah,
sure.
Shout out to you.
And we look to have more guests on. For me, I got on my live a couple weeks ago. Now it's kind of off topic to go back to the topic, but I got on live a couple weeks ago and I talked about having support now, right? And like people who support Nyce Kicks now, Lisa and I literally owe you guys everything, right? Because a lot of times people don't believe in you until the lights start flashing. And Brendan, again, told me that a long time ago when he was doing Society. He's like, yo, people don't believe until the flashing lights. They don't believe until you make it big. You're on the big screen. So we went from IG Live to being on YouTube. So the fact that I'm even in somebody's living room right now, you're in somebody's living room right now on their big screen, like blows my mind, right?
Word.
But when Nyce Kicks becomes the next Earn Your Leisure in terms of our niche and what makes us special and like the best friendship between Lisa and I and bringing that to the forefront, empowering women and empowering our community, like believe in us now and don't wait. So everybody who likes, who shares, who subscribes, who posts us on their stories on IG, who shouts out Nyce Kicks, like we see y'all. We see y'all all the time. We love it. We appreciate y'all. And that means more to us than anything, right? Being here, taking an hour and a half, sitting on here, listening to us live, it means a lot. And I'm so thankful that there's people who sit here and listen to me ramble, listen to Lisa talk for an hour on their Thursday where they could be doing something else. It's like daylight savings is happening. It's still light out. It's about to be lit. The summer's coming, but we've been through this phase. We did it last summer. Things are opening up. People got options, but we're on a platform where you can watch later or you can share with your friends. And if you're doing that now for us, I thank y'all, right? Because we wouldn't be here without everybody who's sitting here, who's watching, who's tuned in with us. And it means something. Like, don't wait until Lisa and I are like Hot 97. We're at the club. We on Earn Your Leisure. You Sizzo in the building. Like when I'm on somewhere, like don't wait to support. And don't ask me to support something if you're not supporting us, because the answer is no, right? So thank you. And thank you, Edgar,
or maybe
being here. So yeah, we got more guests to come. It's gonna get bigger and better. But getting back to like the investing in yourself, and this was an investment for us on Nyce Kicks to even have you on, because you come from the financial world, being a banker and having that relationship management position and being a VP, which Lisa and I don't have. We come from the struggle, right? We come from experience, but you have to invest in yourself. So that little extra money that you have left over, instead of going to Louis, to Gucci, buying something at Zara, I always say Zara because that's my weak point. Make sure you're investing in podcasts, you're reading books, you're getting ebooks. Like Brendan launched an ebook. Dr. Dapper got ebooks. If you're trying to get your Instagram together, you want to know about branding, you want to get better at what you're doing, you have to learn the information. And like getting online or listening to people on Facebook leave their comments and saying this about stocks and investments. You know, people shitted on me because I bought AMC. Bro, the movie theaters are opening up.
Yeah. So, they're opening up.
Whatever.
That's right.
Right?
No,
so it's like you have to get the knowledge for yourself and go to the right people and vet out the people who have the 100+ followers on Instagram. If you want to grow your Instagram business, vet out the people who know what they're doing in terms of having a great business and their P&L looks awesome. Like they're profiting more than they're losing. So you have to be able to put your money into places that will grow you as a person. Get a mentor. Right? Pay for mentorship. Brendan's an accountability coach. If you're a person like me, listen, accountability is like the struggle for me, right? Because I'm a Gemini. I won't be everywhere, anywhere. Like whatever.
That's right.
I might want to do something today, and then tomorrow I want to do something completely different. Whatever, right?
That's
but
right.
You have to be able to say, you know what? I need a mentor. I need someone who's gonna put me in a position. I need to get my credit right. So shout out to Denroy. You know, he's creating capital with credit. Like people who are out here grinding and can really put up the gold coins to say this is what I did for others and the proof is in the pudding. Give them that $99. Give them that $55. Give them that $67 for that ebook, because you know what? You're going to walk away with so much more value than you are if you go and you buy some Gucci shoes or you buy a Louis bag or you buy whatever. A Starbucks latte.
At the end of the day, man, we as a community, we need to continue to buy. Like, I'm going to get all the way funky with it. We got to buy black. Invest in your community. This is where we are going to get that generational wealth. let me say that again. Invest in your own, because trust and believe they're doing everything they can to take it from you and not provide the information you need to be successful, right? The first easiest form, and when we're talking about investing in yourself, the easiest form of investing in yourself, right? And I don't want to make this a real estate thing, but when you buy your property, that's one of the fastest way. Well, one of, because there's always this debate with it's stocks and stocks. I come from a family, shout out to P and everybody in my family, that invested in real estate to create their wealth.
Mm-hmm.
Because of the fact that when you buy, and we in the Northeast were used to multi-family units. So we purchase a property, we live in one, you rent out the others till you're done with whatever program that you use, FHA for me, VA, and then you move that out, you pull some equity, buy another one.
Yep.
That's that residual income that can start that process. And then everything else that comes under it, you know? Insurance is another one. People don't think, man, I should. This is in some countries, this is real. In some countries, there are insurance policies that family members put on family members, right? That they pay, and it's an agreement with the family members, especially elderly. The premium might be high, but they know that person's going to pass. So they purchase this insurance policy for however much it's for, they pay into it. When the time comes, instead of you scraping around trying to do a GoFundMe for whatever the case may be, the money's there, and then that's another path. There are so many different, something as small as like, shit, look at Poshmark and these little things, Poshmark, offer ups. You sell a t-shirt, a sweater you've been wearing for a year and you're done with it, sell it online. Right? People, for someone to say to me, I don't got it, or I don't have the means to make it, or I don't, first of all, there's too much information online of resources for you to figure this thing out, right? Sometimes it's overkill. Well, find your lane, figure it out, and pursue that, and stick with it. Consistency is the key. That's what's going to make you successful, as long as it makes sense. Because sometimes motherfuckers be trying to light that fire, and that paper is still wet. You know what I'm saying? Like you can't light a fire on a wet piece of paper. But if you've made a plan and it pans out, and you said it yourself, Stizzo, mentors are important. Sometimes we got to humble ourselves to have a mentor. Sometimes we can't, if we're not humble enough to think, oh, I need somebody who's in this field to show me the ropes. I want to listen and learn instead of talking and not moving. Mentorship is very important, especially the more you get up. There's points where it gets shaky. You don't know what to move, where to move.
Right.
And you can't trust just in yourself. You need someone to say, all right, I've either been in this place and this is the best way, or let me support you in this effort so that you can make a better move forward. These are all things that are important in order for you to be successful. But at the end of the day, like I said, you're investing in yourself, but you're investing in your community. We got Brendan's book. I'm copping it today.
Nice.
Someone starts with, my boy has a clothing line. I'm buying that. If it makes sense for me, I'm buying that thing. If we're like me, so we're Revix, we in the communities, getting people PPP lending, having them understand what that is and how does that look, or people who didn't even know, I didn't get the stimulus. How come? How can I do it? Well, here's something that they didn't tell you. Now I'm giving you information. Thank you, boss. Now I'm going to do that. Oh, I got this situation. That knowledge is important. We got to pass it through our communities, because that's the only way we're going to continue to build. Because they ain't going to keep, they're not going to give you that information. You know what I'm saying? So.
And you have to use the information and take the action steps, and
that's right.
All the time on his live like this, you can have the knowledge, but if you don't use it, there's no power, right? So you have to use the knowledge, but do your own research, do your own homework. I think I said, I think again, remember I was gonna stop saying, I think I need the rubber band situation. I know that the starting point to becoming financially independent for anyone, no matter who you are, is understanding what financial independence looks like for you. So that's the start. To kind of recap the episode, we're coming upon an hour and a half, and I think it was a great topic and we had some great dialogue. But to recap, it starts with you. So identify your why. Like, identify what financial independence looks like for you. Not what people are telling you it should look like, or what your mother, your father, your sister, your cousin, your brother, but what does it look like for you? Do you want to have children? If you already have children, what do you want their future to look like? Once you identify that, figure out where you're spending now. Where's your money going? What does your budget look like? Run your credit report, freecreditreport.com. Figure out what is happening in terms of your bio. What does your bio look like to these lenders? Do you look like someone who has derogatory marks? You have a poor credit history? What does it look like? Paint the picture for yourself and understand what's really out there. Then action steps, like based on what your goal is, now knowing what your credit looks like, now knowing what your budget looks like, what can you do to check off the first box that's going to make the biggest impact? Is it sending out that letter like Edgar was saying earlier? You don't need to pay $99 a month for a monthly membership for them to send a letter to these people with no letterhead saying, take this off my account. Like, figure out how you can do that on your own. And that $99 could go towards an ebook. That $99 could go towards a course. That $99 can go towards your savings. So figure out what you got to do. Take that next step. And then look at, how are you investing? Are you investing in insurance for yourself, whole life, whatever that looks like? Do you have a 401k with your job that, I mean, hey, it's just money that's sitting there and not really going to do much for you? Or are you investing into a Roth IRA? Like, where are you putting your money? Every single penny should be accounted for. And then look at where you can, we didn't talk about this a lot, but we can kind of wrap it into it. But what can you do to create some passive income? What can you do to get additional money on the side, like make money while you're sleeping? Like, what does that look like for you? Think about your true passion. When you wake up in the morning, what gets you up, right? Because I say that's your passion point. If you can literally lay in the bed and you get that moment of, oh, fuck, the alarm's about to go off. What is it that's going to get you up? And when I used to get the most excited about, shit, I got to roll into this store, I got an interview, I got this going on, that was my passion point, is helping people and serving in my community when I was working for Matt. Like, what's getting you up in the morning? What's driving you? What are people asking you about? What are they trying to tap into your energy and your brain about? How can you make extra money? Do you need to sell lashes? Shout out to Mood. Do you need to sell lashes? Do you need to sell hair? Do you need to sell jewelry? Like, it could be anything.
You need to sell kicks.
Kicks. Do you need to flip houses? And to your point earlier, do you need to buy a multifamily and live on the first floor? Angela Yee has a house, but she lives on the first floor and the people upstairs pay her rent. And she's a celebrity. It's ego. Put your ego aside and figure out what works for you. Fuck everybody else, right? Like, that's nobody else cares what you're doing until it affects them. And 9 times out of 10, whatever you're doing doesn't affect anyone else but you. Unless you're in a position where you're teaching others, you're coaching, you're giving back, nobody cares. So do what you got to do based on what fills your cup and what makes your heart beat. And I mean that wholeheartedly, because I'm around really great and successful people and still trying to figure out, what is it for Stizzle? What's going to fill my cup? Because I could be in real estate. I could sell shit on the side. I could do hair. I could do makeup. I could do a whole bunch of shit. And it's like, you can tell me something blue in my face what I should be doing, but I have to figure out what's going to make me get up every day and say, you know what, I love this and I genuinely own being in this position. So figure out what that means for you and then move forward from understanding how your life looks 10 years from now, 15 years from now. If you want to be on a yacht with no worries, you want to host a party at your house, or if you're fine being in an apartment, like whatever it is, figure out what your financial independence looks like and roll with that. And
it's never too late.
Never
too late.
I might have to save a little bit more monthly now that I'm 39 this year, but it's never too late.
Never too late, because, you know, this money don't stop. This money don't sleep. You know, and opportunities out there, and there's opportunities every day, and it's changing all the time. So, you know, just stay up on what it is, find what your base is, what your core strength is, and then you just continue to do, because, you know, the biggest loser is the one who doesn't try, right?
Right.
You can't be a part of the game if you don't get on the court. You know, all those catchphrases. And it's true. Like, if you're not playing the game, then there is no winner.
And you're not trying. The biggest loser is not the one who tried. The biggest loser is the one who doesn't do. Because we're not trying in 2021. We're just doing. And if we fail, we learn. So just do. Just do. And shout out to Tamika on the live. Go support her online boutique. Tamika, leave your information. I'll pin it up because it's not right here in front of me. But like, go support your people, like Edgar said earlier. And so next week, our episode is should be on a millionaire mindset. I haven't talked to Brendan about it yet. I just be roping in my friends and they don't be knowing. But even if I would love to get Brendan on and him talk about his ebooks and talk about real estate. He's a very busy person. So if we can't get him on, I'm gonna still roll with it because I'm around that energy. I understand what it means to have that mindset. So millionaire mindset is what we're looking forward to next week on Nyce Kicks. And last but not least, Edgar. It's been many, many years. You look just like you looked 8 years ago, 12 years ago.
Thank you, man. Thank you.
I couldn't be happier to have my Gemini vibes in the building.
That's right. That's right.
Like, Lisa and I are so thankful to have you on this episode. You dropped some true gems. Anybody who's interested in banking, especially if you're in Boston, hit up Edgar. He works with Berkshire Bank. So I'll leave all the details underneath this video. Everyone who's at home, whether in your living room or you're at the bar, or you're at a restaurant, you're watching us, or if you're watching post-show and you're like, what the hell's going on? This is Nyce Kicks. We do this every week. I love y'all from the bottom of my heart. I'm speaking from Lisa and myself, the two meets. We appreciate y'all dearly. Thank you for being here this evening. Do something fun. Be well. Be fucking healthy. And go invest in yourself right now.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Thank you.
Appreciate you.